Hollywood, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Are you back in? Are you back in this area? Or are you traveling right now?
No, I'm here. I'm here.
And obviously, I don't think that you've been on any news source at all.
No, brother.
You just you tweeted the fact that you kind of were regretful of the 10 years that you wasted while you and Randy were feuding. Anything to add to that, Bud?
No, it's just, just some of the. I mean, the whole thing was ridiculous, because Randy and I accidentally ran into each other at a cardiologist. His mom was having some problems with his heart, and I had so many surgeries in a row. I think it was the 6th or 7th surgery. My EKG looked a little weird. I ran into him, and he just popped into the room unannounced, and he looked great. And he was smiling from ear to ear. He, just got remarried 6 or 7 months before, and it was like time had never passed. It was a nice Randy, and Jennifer met him, and he was up and happy. And Jennifer didn't know him, and she goes, "Oh, Mr. Macho Man, would you like to come over for a cookout?" Terry's got 3 of his lawyers there, and he instantly spooked and went, "Oh, yeah, no lawyers, maybe a phone call first." It was the same old Randy, but it was weird because this weekend in Canada was with Lanny, and Lanny kind of gave me the Owen Hart speech, and Lanny was saying, "Oh, man, I just want to thank you for the 4 months that I spent working with you in the program because I put Lanny over,
Right.
I didn't beat him. He beat me. He goes, "Oh, it's the greatest 4 months of my life, and my dad, loved you, and the family's great." It's kind of like the Owen Hart speech, the Reader's Digest version. But, we were talking about getting together, and Randy and his wife and the whole thing. And it was just so weird that, we were just talking about him Saturday, and I had talked to him on the phone a few weeks before, and then all of a sudden this happened. It was just crazy.
Can I ask you a question, Hogan? And I'm trying to think back here. We touched on it earlier in the show. The heat that you guys had, like you said, it dates back 10 years or so. And at that point in time, you and Bubba were just sort of becoming friendly and everything like that. And I guess Macho had taken a couple shots at you. And obviously on the show here, we fired back.
Strong.
Real strong. We brought, 50 cals. We were bringing nuclear bombs on a daily basis to Macho Man. And now that this happened, I personally feel bad. I really do. I can't explain necessarily why. I think it's because he never did anything to me personally. But looking back on it, do you ever think about that and feel bad about what happened?
Yeah, I feel bad about that. Bub and I said something that when that whole thing started, Randy kind of fired the first shot, and the statement was, "Hey, don't trust Hogan, he'll stab you in the back just out of nowhere," which kind of lit everything up. But, I look back on it, and some of the stuff that was said, of course I feel bad. I even feel stupid about a lot of the stuff that was said, about Linda and the divorce, because sometimes when you guys aren't there, you replay your old shows, and I'll hear some of the responses I said and just realize how stupid and, just wasn't coming from the right place, as far as my ego was talking, and some of the statements I hear about even Linda sound ridiculous now.
Do you feel like, looking back on it now that, Randy Savage has passed on, do you feel like your ego got the best of you in this situation?
Well,
yeah, we were in it. We were just.
Well, his ego as well, though, Randy.
Well, I'm sure it works both ways. Sure.
Hogan had my show as a delivery mechanism, and he had
nothing.
But Randy. But hold on. But then Randy. Let's not forget. Randy and try to embarrass Hogan when Pete was dying, and then don't forget Randy's song about being a man and calling Hogan a pussy. So,
right.
It
works both ways. But
it wasn't like we just out of left field decided one day Hogan and I were lifting weights and say, "Hey, listen, let's start screwing with Randy."
Yeah, but
Randy fired the first shot.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean Terry can't still feel bad and feel
that
it was a piece of his ego.
But you got to feel bad, but you got to realize when you talk about ego, it's not like he's got a big ego or his ego's getting the best of him. Ego has to do with different dimensions. Ego is something that when you just work or you think or you just believe in stuff that you only can touch and feel.
Well, even when
that's what ego is all about. It's my life. Look what he did to me, and that's when your ego is always how would I say it? I don't know. Never dormant. When your ego is always there, and that's all you have. You just believe in things you touch and can feel, and it's like being dimensionally challenged. There's no other dimension, like, you don't even believe that energy can keep going on forever.
Now,
you know what I mean?
Now, Terry, will you go to the ceremony? I mean, will you go to the funeral?
God, I'd love to. I don't even know what it is.
They're actually not having a funeral per se. He's getting cremated, and I guess he had requested basically no ceremony, so it's just going to be very, very close family.
Wow.
And so it's nothing. It's nothing open to to friends or anything like that at all.
No, and his ashes are going to be sprinkled by his favorite tree, where I guess his dog passed on, and his dog got his ashes sprinkled there, so he's going to do the same.
Wow, that's something.
Yeah, I mean, what was your fondest memory looking back on things? I mean, you guys had just so many good times. What was the fondest memory of you and Macho Man?
Hulk Hogan on the air, by the way.
Oh God, I had a bunch of them. I had, of course, just. Randy was my partner in crime as far as drinking beers in the dressing room. Him and I started out that whole Miller Lite run in the dressing room, so that was fun. And then there were other crazy things, like we were in Paris, France one time, and there weren't any steps to the ring, and Elizabeth happened to be in my corner. At that time, I had won her over or whatever it was, and I picked her up, from this floor all the way up to the apron so she could climb in the ring. And he goes, F you, Hogan. And I didn't know what he was talking about, and I guess he thought I grabbed her breast accidentally or on purpose, and we had a big blow-off over that in the ring, where he cinched up on me, and then he immediately loosened up. And then we had a blowout in the dressing room. That was
so while you guys were working, he got stiff on you because he thought that you got a booby grab.
Yeah, as soon as we locked up, he grabbed a side headlock and put that bone across my cheek, and I gave him the office to loosen up, and he wouldn't. He was about to crush my eye socket, and so I just put my forearm bone against his ribs, and I squeezed him in a bear hug from a side headlock. I said, either loosen up, or you're going to land and get spiked on your head. And he loosened up. Then we had a big argument in the dressing room. And
how did that? And how'd the argument in the dressing room go?
I just was so pissed because the match sucked because he was all mad at me, and then it was almost like I was Superman. I was in one of those old dressing rooms in France in an old building. I walked in. I said, "Get your ass in here. We're going to talk." When I went to pull the door open, I guess the door was like 100 years old, and there were termites in the hinges. And when I pulled the door, the whole door came off the wall. So it was something that was about ready to fall off. But I guess I was lucky enough that when I pulled it, it looked like I ripped the door off the wall. But it was just weird. It was funny as heck.
Now, Hogan, were you and Randy ever close when Miss Elizabeth died? And did he take that hard? Did that a lot of people guys?
No, bro. We weren't talking at that time. So.
Did you ever want to reach out to him, after the Miss Elizabeth thing happened? Did you ever sort of sit around and go, maybe I should?
Oh, dude, I tried. I tried several times, even before then.
I was with you a couple times when you had tried, and I would go over to the house, and he'd be all upset, and he's like, man, you know what? I just would wish I could talk to or see Randy. And then Randy wouldn't take your call or something like that. But if I'm wrong, then correct me, Hogan. But I remember several times where you'd be upset because you couldn't get, you were trying to reach out during Elizabeth's death.
Yeah, I tried to get to him before then and doing her death, but he was in that crazy ego state, mad, and look what Hogan did to me in my life, and he ruined my career, that whole whatever that craziness was. But, yeah, I tried several times, and the crazy thing was that we just started talking. I told you, Bub, we just started talking when this whole crazy thing happened the other day, so.
They were actually talking about. Go ahead, Spice. I know you have a question.
Well, one of the things I was curious of is in the way the story goes. There's so many different tales actually, but I'm wondering if you can straighten it out. When he left WWE or WWE terminated him, that was sort of it for him. And Vince was never one of those guys that would bring him back. And the story goes either one, he had slapped Vince McMahon in a bar one time, or two, he had some sort of escapade with Stephanie McMahon, which pissed Vince off to no end. Can you clarify what happened there?
Bro, I don't know anything about either one of those. I've never heard he slapped Vince McMahon. And
well, that was actually a newspaper today, Terry. We didn't come up with that.
No, I never heard of that. And if that would happen, everybody would have known it, believe me. And as far as the Stephanie McMahon thing, somebody asked me that question about 3 months on a radio interview, and that's the first time I'd ever heard of that. So
yeah, it's weird. Vince is somewhat of a forgiving guy in the sense that he knows good business, and Macho was obviously a great superstar, but he really never did give him that next chance, did he?
I don't know. Yeah, he never. Vince and I have our differences, and there's been verbal assaults by both of us, and I'm probably the worst to blame than anybody for getting fired up, you know. And you know, when it was, if there's money to be made, you know, and it was business, Vince would, you know, always be open-minded. I'm not sure what Randy's deal was. You know, it had to be something.
Now, did you make more money with Randy than you ever did, outside of maybe Andre at WrestleMania 3? But I mean, with program-wise, did you make more money with Randy than anybody ever?
Yeah, he was the best. He was the best to work with. His gimmick was flawless. He had it down. You know, there was more parts of the puzzle than anybody had. He had Elizabeth, so there were different variables. You could have different matches, more finishes. It was just like having more toys to play with because, you know, he was just always the Macho Man. And with her there, it was almost like having a whole other character. And it was easy. Yeah, we made money. But
now, let me ask you a question. I talked to you privately, and you said that, and as you denoted a few seconds ago, that you guys were talking. Were you talking about, you know, maybe trying to get him back? I know that Machismo got let go with TNA, which I don't agree with. I think the guy was unbelievable. Were you working towards maybe asking Dixie what her opinion of bringing Randy back with a Machismo run-in and that whole big deal?
Well, I hadn't gone that far as to talk to Dixie, but Randy was getting ready. I talked to a Clearwater police officer probably 4 or 5 days ago because someone was parked out in front of my house illegally, and he thought it was my car. And he said that he ran into Randy in Publix, and Randy had ankle weights on and wrist weights. And he had a few beers and a few bottles of wine, and he asked Randy, and he goes, well, I'm getting ready for Hogan. So Johnny Green, who I just did the show for True TV with, said that Randy was training like crazy and getting ready for another run, you know. So his head was right, you know, for getting back in there. It's just a shame it didn't happen.
Now, the autopsy, you said that maybe the autopsy may come down this weekend. I mean, you don't think that they'll find anything, you know, I mean, and the only reason I ask this, Terry, no disrespect to Macho Man or trying to put you in bad light, but I mean, you know, anytime a wrestler dies, you know, the media, you know, always wants to know what's in their system and so forth and so on. I mean, historically, Randy was pretty good about not, you know, being abusive on the stuff like that, wasn't he?
Yeah, Randy was pretty level-headed as far as everything. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, he had a car wreck, if he had a heart attack, whatever it is. I mean, if the family requested the autopsy, they requested the autopsy, you know. But at the end of the day, no matter what it is, you know, they'll do the Arnold Schwarzenegger to him, you know, media-wise. It's just the nature of what media is, you know.
Right.
I mean, if you want to hear about fatalities and hatred and bad things happening, you know, that's just the media. You never open the newspaper or the TV and hear about people that have more money than they need or more happiness than they need or more love than they need. That's just the nature of the beast. I mean, I didn't even know, like, about the Arnold thing because I quit reading the newspaper and watching the news. I didn't even know the Arnold thing was going on until the day before yesterday.
And all that craziness, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it serves no purpose for me anymore. I mean, I'm trying to go the other way with this stuff, not the way I was going.
It's weird. I mean, all the stories you talked about with Randy, as far as the good times go, still somewhat involved volatile times. Or are you guys arguing or something like that? Was there ever just like a solid, pure moment of just good times?
Oh yeah. I mean, we'd be riding the jet skis or hanging out at the pool. But he was sketchy with business. You know, it was the nature of the wrestling business to cover your own rear end, and he was over the top with that. So he was sketchy and jitterbugging all the time. And
jitterbugging.
Yeah, you know, like, hey, Mach, you know, instead of me going out first tonight, or, you know, why don't you go out first? Your music, oh, yeah, why would you want to do that? I mean, you can't do anything. You know? So no matter what it was, he was always thinking twice around back corner, triple over around trying to make sure that nobody was conning him, you know.
So he was always kabukied out over whatever alternative motive you may have.
Whatever. It didn't even matter what it was, you know. Oh, you take the first sip of beer. Oh, you know, turn the top sideways. Why'd you do that? Oh, I mean, it just never ended.
Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Did you put something on HulkHogan.com? Somebody said you had a small little message on that. Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, is it up now?
Yeah, it's up, man.
HulkHogan.com, which Hamill's helping do now, Spice. It's really
good. Yeah, I don't know if Hamill's got it up now. I know we got you finally signed the papers to help me get going, so I don't know if it's up, but you know.
Hopefully they got it up, Spice. HulkHogan.com, because that's, you know, you can see a little bit of Terry's response on the deal when he's not, outside of our show, made any public statements at all. So
yeah.
Anyway, Hollywood, man, we're flipping over to Radio I.O. right
All right,
now,
man.
and I just want to let you know that I do feel for you, and I was not very close with Randy because that was kind of after, that was all before me, and just want to let you know that I'm feeling for you, buddy.
Well, it's just, I guess he was done, with what he had to do here. So he's, whatever drove him, whatever that spirit or energy that's inside of him, I'm sure it's taken off somewhere else, because, you remember when we were standing next to my dad and my dad passed away, I went, oh my God, what was that?
Yep.
Even my dad's face looked just like yours when he took the last breath. About 2 seconds, he turned instantly gray, but before he turned gray, I was leaning over him, and I went, oh, what was that? Like I was too close to a fire or too close to a transformer that blew up. It was kind of like that energy, So, science-wise, we know energy can't be created or destroyed. Whatever's inside that meat suit of yours that makes you walk around, that's going on somewhere. So I'm sure Macho Man's jitterbugging somewhere else right now,
Oh, yeah, thinking. Anyway,
Yes,
Hogan. Now, Hogan, Randy was a year older than you, wasn't he?
He was 58. He had about 6 or 7 months on me, I think.
All right, my friend. How's your health doing? They're saying that you may
I'm good, man. I'm way good.
That he may have had a heart attack. That the accident had nothing to do with it. I just want to make sure. What's your cardiologist saying? And how's your health doing?
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I've been eating some pig filler. It's making me really making me get healthy.
Pig filler. What is
it's
pig?
Called diatomaceous earth. It's these little diode things that grow in a riverbed. They're real, like little teeny molecules of fossil that are real sharp, and they make your osteoporosis go away. It's easy. You have to read it. It's crazy what the stuff does. But
so you're eating pig poop?
No, it's just filler that they put in animal and horse feed and stuff.
Right.
And if a human being eats it, it's amazing. It's almost like these little teeny molecules with razor sharp edges on it. It goes through your system. It just cleans everything out. It's pretty crazy.